Okay, if you're like me, and I know you are, whenever you have a question, you're going to go on Google, Facebook, try to figure all these things out yourself, reading articles, reading blurbs, and what happens after all that? You get confused, but you never really process the information that you're getting, right? So today I'm going to teach you a quick exercise, what I call before and after. Before is what things were like before you made the big decision, and after is what you can see it going to after you've made that decision. So I'm going to talk to you today about assisted living and board and cares, a care home for an elderly parent. But this could be anything. This could be just making the decision to find a caregiver in the home, whether what life was like before or after on that. Whether you want to make a decision regarding getting some sort of medical equipment, anything like that. This is a good exercise to go through to really allow your own brain to make the decision and not just be relying upon everybody else. Okay, so we want you to think. So first thing I always encourage you to do is figure out how you feel, right? So how we feel drives about 80% of what we do. It's not always real logical stuff. When I was making the decision for my own mom and whether we want to put her in a care home or get a caregiver at home, of course my mom's emotions were pulling her towards, I want to stay in my home. I don't care what anybody else has to say. This is what I want to do. That would stress me out. I was worried about her safety. I knew that the costs would be really high to keep her in home. And I knew that the price internally, if it was a family caregiving situation, that there'd be a lot of pressure on us to take my emphasis away from, my own smaller immediate family, but also, of course, my business and other obligations that I have. But the after was a relief. So when she moved into the home and before that, looking forward, I could say, wow, it would be so great if somebody else had that burden of being a caregiver, but I could come in and be an assistant to that caregiver and still be a really good companion for my mom. So not being a caregiver, but a companion. The next thing, of course, is financial. Of course, the stress beforehand sometimes is even worse than once you're spending the money because you don't know how much things are really going to cost. When you dive into this and at least start doing your homework, you start figuring out, okay, well, a care home of this degree is going to cost this much. Memory care is going to cost this much. If they don't need any memory care and they can just be in assisted living, then that costs this much. So again, before you get stressed out because you really don't know the answers. Second, you really do start finding out how much things cost and what the situation of your parent or your family is. And then you realize that there's many savings opportunities as well that come. So once you're in a care home, you're really going to benefit because you don't have food expenses anymore. You don't have all the maintenance costs of running a home, including all the utilities, all that stuff. Health and medical, I think, is one of the key components of what sold me on bringing my mom to a care home, because my mom did not always take good care of herself, and if she did, she'd have to drive. Oh, I can't even think about that now, to appointments. I always had this fear that her health was getting worse, and it was. She was having failing health conditions. Once she came to a care home, we were able to lean on the experts a little bit more. There was an expert, there was an owner in the home that had 20 plus years of caring for elderly people. All the different caregivers there are really, they can identify things that you'd never be able to identify. Things like a UTI, like a urinary tract infection. They look at somebody and go, oh yeah, that's probably a UTI. Let's get the doctor in here and check it out. And that's one of the great things is you have a doctor typically coming into the home and making house calls, and there's usually somebody there all the time. So if something's just a little off, they're going to notice. Relying on those experts, that was a great thing for my family on the after. And then lastly is safety, and of course in the medical and safety kind of go hand in hand. But maybe at home, like it was for us, you had 4 hours of care going during the day, but during the night there was no care, or during the rest of the day, during 20 hours of the day there was no care. So once you go to a care home or assisted living, you have the ability to get 24-hour care. And let me tell you, that was one of the real big reliefs, again, for my mom. So every situation is different. So your little tool isn't gonna look like mine. It's gonna be a lot different because you have a totally different situation. So whatever article you're reading on Google, any of the things that you read out there, they're not really gonna be 100% for you. So you got to figure some of this stuff out. And I'm gonna help you with more things that we can stretch your mind out a bit and let you make good decisions. So if you need help from me, you can always give me a call, shoot me an email, and we can make an appointment to go out and check out the care homes or find a caregiver for you. But before that, I want you to do some thinking. All right? I'll catch you later.